Yeah, no worries. We'll wait on you, Steph. No worries. Okay. Yes. So we're live now, Steph? Everybody ready? Okay. My mic is live, but the little button isn't illuminating. But I know I can hear myself because I hear the echo. So that being said, I'd like to welcome everybody to this meeting of the Village of Skokie Zoning Board of Appeals. The Zoning Board of Appeals is created by the statutes of the state of Illinois and by the ordinances of the Village of Skokie for the purpose of granting proper case relief from the strict terms of our zoning ordinances. The decision of this board to either grant or deny relief will be based upon the evidence presented to it and how that evidence is related to the standards for granting relief. All persons who have an interest in the case, either as a petitioner or as a member of the public, either supporting or opposing the petition, or as an independent witness, will be given a chance to speak on the record and to express his or her points of view. The Zoning Board of Appeals is not a court of law, and therefore we do not follow the strict rules of evidence. However, this hearing will be conducted in such a manner as to hear only competent evidence or statements. Questions as to procedure, interpretation, and of the admissibility of statements or evidence will be ruled upon by Corporation Counsel Tyler Kobilski, and his legal decisions will be binding upon this board. Certain cases require a covenant running with the land. This will be prepared and recorded by the Village of Skokie Legal Department, and this is done at the petitioner's expense. Whether or not a covenant is required is a determination to be made by the Corporation Counsel at the conclusion of each individual case. If a covenant running with the land is required, it cannot or will not be prepared until our court reporter has returned to the Zoning Board of Appeals a transcript of these proceedings. The Village of Skokie will notify each petitioner when the covenant has been prepared and is ready for signature. No building permits or certificates of occupancy can be issued until the covenant is signed by the petitioner. Should a petition for a variation be denied, or should a covenant not be required, the Board of Trustees will authorize a refund of any required fees. Should it be necessary for the petitioner to request a continuance due to lack of preparation, a case continuation fee of 1/2 of the original application fee is due prior to the rehearing date. This request must be made before any testimony begins. All petitioners must receive a vote of the majority of the zoning board present in order to decide any matter under consideration. Our full complement is 9 members. However, tonight's complement is 6 members, making 4 votes necessary to make a determination on a petition. Let's see. Tonight we have 2 cases. We have 2022-01Z, 4225 Lion Street. The petitioners are here for that. And 2022-02Z, 7525 Lowell Avenue. The petitioners are here for that case. All right. Good. In both of those cases, I will ask Corporation Counsel, has proper notice been served and notarized?
Yes, notice is proper and correct for both cases.
All right, good, very good, excellent. Okay, so before we get into our first case tonight, the 2022-01Z, we have a little bit of housework to do here, house cleaning, which is the minutes of the previous meeting to be approved. I'm sure everybody in their packets had a chance to go over the minutes from our last meeting. They included 2 cases, 2021-07Z, 4113 to 4125 Main Street, and 2021-08Z, 4147 Main Street. I believe both, yeah, The 07Z was granted on a 6-2 count, and 08 was granted unanimously. So if everybody's had a chance to peruse the minutes, the chair will entertain a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve minutes.
All right, Commissioner Worth, thank you very much. Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right, we'll give it to Commissioner Jacobson, because she's going to be speaking a lot here in the next minute or two. All in favor, voice vote, please, just say aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Okay, anybody opposed? No? Okay, the minutes of the last meeting are approved. Thank you so much, Marlene, as always. Okay. All right, then we'll,
Can you ask the 02Z people are here? I have a quick question.
off the record?
Yeah, might as well to start.
Oh, okay, should.
That's one try and clear it up first.
Yeah, okay, Corporation Counsel has a question for the petitioners 2022-02Z on Lowell Avenue, the Myers.
Sure.
Do they, yeah, could you please step up to the microphone over here? Don't worry, kids, your parents won't be far away.
Sorry, that microphone over there.
Yeah, yeah, on the dais over there. I know you got like microphones all over the place here. Hey, good evening, sir.
Good evening.
First of all, can we have your name and spell it for the record?
Kendall, Kendall, Meyer, Meyer.
All right, thanks, Kendall. If you would, just raise your hand. Do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge and belief?
Yes, I do.
All right, great, thank you so much. Corporation Counsel has a question for you before we proceed.
I understand you sent out 2 notice packets. One was on the 21st and one was on the 25th. Do you recall that?
I just remember one notice packet, I think.
Maybe someone else did it for you, but the only reason I'm raising the issue is that the notary is for the 24th and the mail day was for the 25th. And I just want you to affirm on the record under oath that it was actually mailed on the 25th since it was notarized the day before. I can
yeah.
show you what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so-
might, yeah.
So
Yeah,
I have,
easier.
yeah.
So here's a bunch of ones you did on the 21st.
Yep.
And this is proper too, but it's dated for the 24th.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
you could just affirm on the record that this was mailed, these 2 were mailed.
yeah. So Marlene actually helped us. We actually missed 2. I think we,
Sure.
we did our best, but we missed 2, and she let us know. So like, the paperwork was already filled out, and then we mailed out the last 2.
Understood.
So
And you can confirm that you mailed them on the 25th of February?
yes.
All right,
yes.
very good, thank you. We're all good.
All right. For any other question, I was gonna have my architect speak for me.
No, Kendall, that's all right. You're the second case. We just wanted to make sure that your notice was proper, because if it wasn't, then we'd say, come back next time,
Yeah, all right, appreciate it.
Okay. So, all right, all
We're
good?
good. We're
All
all
right,
good.
good. Okay, so we'll go ahead and we'll proceed with the first case tonight, which is 2022-01Z, 4225 Lion Street. If the petitioners or their representatives, please step up to the podium over there. Sir, if you plan on speaking on your behalf, or if the architect will speak on your behalf, all right, that's fine. Then we'll just swear him in.
All your documents
Okay.
are here. If you want to scroll down, the main thing obviously is
And-
going to be kind of just the site
Yeah.
plan, so.
Okay, and while they're doing that, Elaine, if you'd like to go ahead and present the
Okay.
case, please go ahead and do so.
Case 2022-01Z, 4225 Lion Street. Majid and Ruba Matuk request a variation in order to construct a second-floor addition resulting in the continuation of the existing 24.35-foot front yard rather than the 25-foot minimum as required by Section 118-1245 of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an R1 single-family district. Okay? And I'll start off by reading the statement from Ruba, Mike and Ruba Majuk. Mr. Augustine, we are the property owners of 4225 Lyons Street, writing to authorize our project architect, Mr. Kirk Irwin, to apply for zoning variance on our behalf and submit all the required document via email. We are also authorizing Mr. Irwin to attend the Zoom meeting and would appreciate it if you can send him an invitation. His email address is jkirkirwin@gmail.com. We will mail out a letter to nearby neighbors via registered mail with return receipt that explains the reason for the zoning variance request. My understanding that your department will provide us with the letter, contents, and the name and address of the recipients. Thank you very much for your help, Mike and Ruba Majuk. Okay, now I'm going to read the zoning variation narrative. Okay. The owners proposed a second-floor addition and new entryway to the west part of an existing split-level ranch-style single-family residence. The proposal includes modifications to the front entrance to the existing residence. The roof pitch has been changed to direct snow from collecting at the front door. The entry addition includes new windows that will allow natural light to enter the north-facing part of the house. The entry addition, as proposed, aligns with the existing brick veneer wall located at 24.10 feet from the north property line. The Appearance Commission reviewed this proposal and unanimously approved the design and recommended that a zoning variance be pursued to allow the design to be implemented. On use of the property due to physical, topographical, and geologic features. The front setback requirement of 25 feet presents a limitation to the use of the property because the existing front wall is 24.10 feet from the front property line. 2, without a variance, there can be no reasonable use of the property. The addition to the house is an existing condition not created by the owners. 5, the request is the minimum variance necessary to allow reasonable use of the property. This is the minimum variance needed to create the new entry and second-floor addition. 6, the request will not be injurious to public health, safety, or welfare. The new entrance enhances the public safety because it redirects snow from falling on the front stoop. 7, the subject site possesses one or more unique characteristics generally not applicable to similarly situated properties. This is a one-of-a-kind unique characteristic. Forestry Division. The Forestry Division has no objections to the petitioner's request. Tree projection is required in accordance with village standards. The Community Development Department has no objections to the petitioner's request. The building was constructed in 1955 in its current location. The proposed addition continues the existing non-conforming front setback. The existing building is only about 8 inches into the existing front yard. Staff feels the petitioner's request is the minimum variance necessary to allow reasonable use of the property. The proposed addition will not negatively impact the surrounding properties.
Okay, that's good.
Okay?
All right, yeah, thanks so much, Elaine. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
May we, I know it's seemingly redundant, but may we have your name and spell it so we could have it for the record?
Sure. My name's Kirk Irwin, Kirkwin.
Okay,
And I'm a licensed architect in the state of Illinois, representing Mr. and Mrs. Matuk in
Right.
this zoning issue.
all right, awesome. That's great, as it said in the document that Commissioner Jacobson read, so that's good to hear. If I may, Mr. Irwin, do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge or belief?
I do.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, please proceed and tell us why we're all here tonight.
Well, the Matuks are proposing a second floor addition to their existing house. It's about 1,200 square feet, and the existing building is a split level, common to the 1950s. And we're building on the west portion of the house. And we want to align the second floor addition with the existing footprint of the existing house. And I know my narrative focused on the entry of the front door, but the matter here is the front yard setback, which is the side yard. In reality, it's the side yard. So we were requesting the 24.35 setback as a zoning variance so that we can align the brick wall and make it attractive in the streetscape.
All right, very good. Commissioner Jacobson, would you
Yes.
like to give us your impressions
Well,
on the
I went
petitioner's
and
request?
I looked at the property. It was very impressive. It's a lovely neighborhood.
Yes, it is.
Lovely area. And what the petitioners want to do is looks like it's going to fit right in with the present houses there.
Yes, yeah, it works well with the size of the addition, the scale of it, and we were
Yes.
careful about the way we were placing the windows, and we really did attempt to make the addition fit not just with the existing building, but with the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very lovely.
Good,
Okay.
awesome. Is there, anybody have any questions for Mr. Irwin at all, or? Doesn't seem like it, and anything you'd like to close up with at all, Mr. Irwin, or
I
they
would
haven't
just-
said
I would
already?
I would just emphasize that the Appearance Commission voted favorably, I think unanimously, in favor of this addition, and encouraged the owners to pursue the zoning variance to allow
Great.
for the new addition to be built as designed.
Great. Yeah, that's great. That's good to hear as well. Cases like this, I always get kind of a chuckle out of, because we have an existing 24.35-foot front side yard rather than the 25-foot minimum. So we're talking about a distance
Yeah,
about like this.
which- Right, and that would have been unattractive if it were built as an offset.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, this is a perfect example of why we have this group, is
Yes.
to alleviate issues like this. Because not only would it be prohibitively expensive to build that offset like that, it would make make it structurally unsound and,
Yeah.
be very unattractive, so. And when we're talking, a distance that's less than the length of Shaquille O'Neal's footprint, I think, so. Okay, well, if there's no, petitioner has nothing else to say, Mr. Matuk, you have nothing you'd like to add? Your representative has done very well, I think, so. Then, if that's the case, then the chair will entertain a motion.
Okay.
Oh. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Is there any citizen, thank you, is there any citizen comments at all? On 4225 Lyons? Okay, so everybody's here for the second case then. Okay, very good. No, looks like there's no citizen comments.
Okay.
Thank you, Tyler.
So I'll-
Yeah, please go ahead.
Okay,
Chair will
all
entertain a
right.
motion.
Mr. Chairman, I propose the following findings of fact in the granting of a variation to the petitioners as follows. The petitioners, Majid and Ruba Matuik, property described as case number 2022-01Z, 4225 Lyons Street, Skokie, Cook County, Illinois. That said lot is a plotted lot of record and is abutted by single-family dwelling on the south and east side. Okay. That determination is made that the property in question, wait a minute, I'm not, I have to go here. Yeah, here, no. Here. Yeah, the property in question cannot yield a reasonable return if permitted to be used only under the conditions allowed by the regulations in that zoning district. The plight of the owners was not created by the owners and is due to unique circumstances. The variation, if granted, will not alter the essential character of the locality. I therefore propose that a variance be granted to the petitioners for giving failure to comply with the requirements of the zoning ordinance of the Village of Skokie as amended to the front yard requirement. That the petitioners be granted the variation in order to construct a second floor addition resulting in the continuation of the existing 24.35-foot front yard rather than the 25-foot minimum as required by section 118-124.5 of the zoning chapter of the Skokie Village Code in an R1 single-family district. That the petitioners be granted that all other codes and ordinances of the Village of Skokie shall be fully and strictly complied with.
All right, thank you so much, Elaine. Okay, very good. So we have a motion to approve without conditions. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Commissioner Perlin seconds the motion. Okay, the chair will go ahead then and call the roll. Commissioner Arden?
Aye.
Okay, Commissioner Worth?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Perlin?
Yes.
Commissioner Jacobson?
Aye.
Why am I feel like I'm missing somebody?
Me.
Oh, yeah, Commissioner Gupta, yeah, right, see?
Aye.
Okay, thank you so much. And the chair will vote aye. So in the case of 2022-01Z, the motion to approve has been passed unanimously. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Corporation Counsel, what does the petitioner need to know from here on out?
We will prepare the covenant running with the land for the property owner's signature. It'll hopefully be ready in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay. And may we proceed with the permit process?
I defer to Brian, but I think you can.
Yeah, permit application can be submitted for. We can't formally approve and issue the permit without the signature on the
Understood.
covenant.
Yes.
So, but
Okay.
you can get that started.
Okay,
It's gonna
very
take a
good.
little while too, because everybody's applying now, so.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay, you're very welcome. Good luck with your project. Okay. All right. Okay, very good. Okay. So one down, one to go. Let's see. Okay. Okay, now we have our next case, which is 2022-02Z 7525 Lowell Avenue. I know the petitioners are present because Corporation Counsel has already spoke to Mr. Meyer, so, everything okay up there, staff?
Yeah, just wanna get their,
Get their stuff up and
their
running?
plan up and ready.
Okay. All right, let me know when you're ready, and I'll have them step up to the podium. Good?
Yeah, they'll be able to scroll through what they need to
Okay,
for the
Great.
rest of the documents.
okay. Petitioners want to step up to the podium, or the petitioners' representatives? And as you do that, Commissioner Perlin will be presenting your case tonight. So Commissioner Perlin, please take it away. Floor is yours.
Thank you. This is case 2022-02Z. The address is 7525 Lowell Avenue. Nicole and Kendall Meyer request a variation in order to construct a first and second floor addition, resulting in a first floor side yard of 2.53 feet, 2.87 feet, and 2.59 feet, rather than the required 4-foot minimum side yard, and also a front yard of 19.998 feet, rather than the required 23.11 foot side yard, as required by Skokie Code 118-125, parentheses 6, parentheses A, and 118-123B of the Skokie zoning chapter Village Code in an R2 single-family district. So I'm going to read next into the record the statement from the architect. This is a letter dated January 18th of this year. Dear board members, the two requested zoning variations for the property referenced above, stem from the location of the existing home on the lot, a condition unique to this property, not created by the property owner. We have taken care to design additions to the home in compliance with the spirit of the zoning code. However, the home has a one-story attached garage that encroaches into the minimum required front yard. We are proposing an otherwise code-compliant second-floor addition above the garage, and meeting the strict letter of the code would result in an atypical, awkward architectural condition where the second floor would not match the footprint of the first floor. Furthermore, the otherwise code-compliant second-floor primary bedroom addition, front porch addition, and rear sunroom expansion proposed to align with the south end of the existing home where the one-story non-compliant living room exists. The alignment with the edge of the home would be a desirable and expected architectural condition that would not be possible without the variations we seek. Without the requested variances, there can be no reasonable use of the property. The lot can support a home significantly larger than the one currently on it, and we are attempting to update and renovate this home in a way that would be harmonious with the neighborhood, making the variation request not injurious to public health, safety, or welfare. The proposed variations are not requested solely on economic reasons and are the minimum necessary to allow a reasonable use of the property. The homeowners intend to reside on the expanded and renovated home with their growing family. So that's the statement from the architect. That statement is accompanied by a chart which highlights the front yard setbacks of properties that are up and down the street. Looks like on the east side of Lowell, essentially showing that they're comparable with what the petitioner's asking, and that's already a part of the record. I would like to read into the record some comments from the staff. First, the petitioner has not appeared before the Appearance Commission for the project. So let me ask staff, is this a requirement to appear before the Appearance Commission?
There will be, before the zoning board or in general?
In general?
Yes. The
Okay.
addition will have to go, regardless of the variation, regardless of what happens here tonight. If they still propose to do an addition, they will have to go before the Appearance Commission.
Okay. And I'm going to paraphrase some of the staff analysis and comments. Forestry has no objections. If they're going to remove trees, they have to indicate that and also protect trees that won't be removed. The Community Development Department viewed this as two requests. The front yard and the side yard request, they have no objections to the request to construct a second floor addition above the existing attached garage, which would result in the continuation of the approximately 20-foot front yard. The petitioner is proposing to demolish a one-story addition in the rear yard that already has a 4-foot setback from the lot line. They would then build that with a 2.53-foot setback, and then a second-floor addition with a 2.59-foot setback, and then a covered porch, and this is on the front of the property, so the west end, with 2.87-foot setback is also proposed. So staff understands the existing building is non-conforming and doesn't meet the current side yard requirement. And they also point out that if it's going to be less than 3 feet from the lot line, there are safety codes, and Brian, maybe you can elaborate on this. If they're less than 3 feet from the lot line, that would prevent installing a window on any wall that's less than 3 feet from the lot line. Would that be correct?
Yeah, we had one of our plan reviewers review the request, and there's a section that was added into the report with the penetrations with openings on the wall that's less than 3 feet away from the property line, which, per his interpretation, I looked it over, it does appear that they would not be able to have windows on the wall that has a less than 3 foot setback.
Okay. And just to be clear, this body doesn't have the jurisdiction to override that type of requirement.
Yeah,
We're limited to
correct.
the
You-
zoning. I
You're
just wanted to make that
it's the
clear for
set- It's the
everybody.
setbacks. There's nothing with the appearance of the building or the which elevations have windows or whatnot. It's the
Right.
setbacks allowing the, the proposed second story and first floor additions, first and second floor additions to be built in the proposed location.
No, let's go ahead and hear from petitioner. Anything else, Commissioner Perlin, as far as an opening statement is concerned? No?
But we'll wait.
Okay, we'll wait. All right, we'll go ahead and let testimony begin then. Good evening, sir.
Hi, my name is Omar Gutierrez, architect.
Okay, can you spell it so we have it for the record, please,
Sure.
Mr. Gutierrez?
OMAR,
Okay.
last name Gutierrez.
Okay, and like you said, you're the
I'm the architect. Yes.
Okay, if I may, do you affirm that the testimony you are about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge or belief?
I do.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Please proceed.
All right, so thank you for reading the staff report. It's very comprehensive. I'm not going to bore you with too many details, just the crucial ones. As you've seen the site plan, this is the existing site plan. Let me enlarge this a little bit. I'm not even sure how to do that here. Oh, there you go. That's it. So as you can see, we're talking about two different, as a staff considered two different variation requests. One is to build on top of this one-story garage structure. There's also, this crisscross area is a two-story area of the home, and then there's another one area of the home right here. This is right off around the minimum required setback. This is already encroaching. And as you'll see, architecturally, these are the existing elevations. This is a home that has not been touched in decades. It's kind of really a hidden gem that was found by my clients. But it's a little awkward, right? It needs some work. It's kind of all over the place. You got this one-story thing with an asymmetrical situation. We got an asymmetrical gable, different heights. It's, it could be improved vastly. This lot can also by right have a much bigger house, and to modern standards, this is quite a small home. This is the left side of the home. This is the area that we're proposing an addition over. This is the rear of the home, also kind of awkward as well, right? You have this strange condition where part of it's gable, part of it's hipped, and there's like no rhyme or reason to what's going on. It's also in bad shape, quite frankly. I think that some of the siding is peeling off, and it's not just architecturally, but maintenance-wise, this needs some work. This addition here, there's a sunroom that is rotting away, literally. There's holes, the windows are just completely in awful condition. And this is the right side, which is the where we are asking the most, so to speak. This is the area that encroaches. We're proposing adding a second story above it and extending this existing line further down for a larger sunroom and a balcony above. Do you guys want, I'm assuming you're familiar with the floor plans that we're proposing, or should I kind of explain the process as well?
If please feel, go ahead and
Sure.
alliterate on whatever you feel is pertinent.
Sure.
This is your time.
This is the foundation of that sunroom. The dashed lines that you see here are the existing foundation. We're proposing on leaving that. It's not in great shape, but we also don't need it. So we're proposing on building a foundation around it. And the logical place in this condition will be to match the existing side of the home. It also provides for just a better size room on the first floor. As you can see here, this is a very rational condition where you have symmetry with the two front doors. You have the existing fireplace. We're creating a new opening that's centered in the room, and just creating an extension, a true sunroom that will be an extension of this living room. This is also a front porch. As you'll see in the front elevation, I think you'll agree with me, this house is kind of begging for a front porch. So that's the main reason we're continuing this, is one, the condition of the foundation. the condition of the existing sunroom, and the architectural condition that would result from granting this, it would be quite nice, in our opinion, and it's something that's toward the back of the house. We have support from several neighbors that see no problem with this, and we just think that granting the variation would allow us to create a better architecture, frankly, in this case. On the second floor, we're proposing to house a primary bedroom with a continuation of the existing fireplace from downstairs, and an opening to a bathroom and a balcony. We're trying to keep, as you can see, this area here, this is just a rectangle to make the second floor just a very simple shape. We're trying to obviously try to make things easier to build and rational. This is the front elevation as compared to before. You know, you had a gable over here, a hip over there, a one-story over there, and a one-story over here. We believe this is much more in keeping with the architecture and the harmony of the neighborhood, as shown by the support that we have. We're talking about a metal roof front porch with the two French doors that go into the living room. We're trying to locate windows in a rhythmic, logical way. We went back and forth with this. This is the existing opening of the garage door that's asymmetrical. We're trying to use this same header, but perhaps we may end up centering this. And this is something we, obviously with the Appearance Commission, we might work with them onto that. This is the right side. There's not many changes here, just the addition above the garage and the protrusion of the sunroom on the other side of the house that you would see from here. This is the rear of the home. Again, we're trying to make a statelier home, something that's a little more rational, a little more organized, less all over the place as what we had before. Again, the roof is just a simple gable facing both sides, some rhythm of windows and some rhyme or reason, and a large opening from the sunroom out to the rear yard. And then on the side, this is the area that we're trying to continue this brick wall smooth out and create just a simple gable. We're talking about simple shapes, you know, rhythm, matching window locations, and we really didn't need to expand the house anymore on this area, so we left it open as a balcony, also to create a simple shape. In a gist, that's kind of what we're trying to achieve here. We're trying to create something that the owners can enjoy for years to come, something that would be rational to build, easier to build and to maintain, and that would be less complicated. We see a lot of architecture in this neighborhood that is simple, very, very cottagey, and that's what we're trying to go for here.
All right, awesome. Great. Well, Mr. Gutierrez, you've presented that very well.
Thank
Putting some rationale into a building that's currently irrational. So I can understand your thought process on the situation. But that being said, I'd like to get what Commissioner Perlin's impressions on this project are, now that we've just heard from the architect.
Yeah. And Omar, please stay up there in case we have questions.
Please, yeah, sure, no problem.
So I went and visited the property, drove around the neighborhood a little bit yesterday. You know, of course, I've studied the materials. So the first thing is, I think there's no issue at all really with the front yard setback. It's clearly keeping with the neighborhood. And at some point, if it makes sense, we may even say, hey, let's bifurcate or even more the motion to approve the front yard. For the side yard, I think it's more complicated, and I really view it in sort of three pieces. The first piece is the part above the existing house. So sometimes when you have a situation that's difficult, you sort of go back to fundamentals. What do you need to establish for us as a board to grant the variation? So, you know, I'd be looking specifically, and I'll read these, items 3, 4, and 5. The request is not based solely on economic reasons. I think that's true. Now I'm just talking about now building up above the existing house. Number 4, the owner did not create the necessity for the variance. I agree with that as well. The house was already built where it lies. Number 5, it's the minimum variance necessary to allow a reasonable use. I think the argument for that isn't as strong, but I think it probably still makes sense. So I don't think I really have a big objection to building above the current house, but admittedly, and, you know, looking at building-to-building distances around the neighborhood, it's pretty close to the building on the south. And one of the issues that came up in discussions was, you know, it may not be your current neighbor, but a neighbor down the line. If they decide to build a fence, you know, how would you maintain the chimney, which might even be less than 2 feet from the property line? You know, so that's a little bit more complicated. But I think my feeling right now is you've satisfied the majority of conditions that are applicable to build above the existing house. As far as the front porch goes, it's keeping in line with the building. It is a new structure, so it's really a new encroachment. It's not just building up above the existing building. At the same time, I try and be sensitive to the fact that on the front of the house, anything that juts in is going to have more of an effect on the overall appearance.
Correct.
So then I go, I think I might be okay with that. Now, what I'm okay with doesn't mean anybody else is. I could be the only one. When I go to the existing addition on the back, that one's already set back 4 feet. And so in that case, I see less of a reason, especially when you look at that, it's really not jumping out at you if that was really closer at least, maybe not exactly, but closer to the original 4 feet. So that one I'm having more difficulty with, that piece of it. So, you know, those are my overall impressions right now, but I'd really like to open it up for discussion because discussions can be very enlightening. So does anybody else who visited the
That they
property have any other impressions, or does staff want to make any additional comments?
Well, I'll just, you know, staff, I think, is very similar to kind of what you stated. Going above the existing setbacks, typically staff has recommended approval to go to keep in line with the same footprint. I think the zoning board consistently is voted that way,
Yes.
unless there's some extreme setback where it's an extreme nonconformity. So that's some of the rationale behind the staff recommendation was there's been no doubt staff in the past, and, you know, Chairman O'Donnell can kind of maybe attest to this, and some of the voting record, I believe, has been consistently straight up. That's why when we looked at the front setback also, we had no objection. It's 19, almost 20 feet from the front lot line, clearly set back from the side lot line. It's the south lot line where we really started looking, and it was the expansion both ways, to the back, to the front, and then up, where staff felt maybe there wasn't, you know, so much a necessity to do that. But that's the rationale for our recommendation was the, you know, consistency in the past. Going straight up typically hasn't been a problem.
Right.
It's been more the expansion of the non-conforming setback. You know, now is this 3.83 feet? No, this is it's a, you know, 1 point, almost 5 feet, 1.23, depending on where the structure is at. So that's a little rationale behind the staff's position.
Understood. Yeah, thanks on that, Brian. That gives us a little bit more clarity as far as what, you know, the rationale goes from here on out. Any other questions for Mr. Gutierrez at all? At this time? I see we have more than just the architect and the petitioners and the petitioners' children out in the audience. Is there anybody else that would like to speak on this matter? Public comments? No? Are you all neighbors of the Myers, or? All right, would you like to speak in favor or against their project, or, because, I mean, it's great that you're here, that's the first step, but, you know, if you want to say something in approval to it, you know, a lot of times, neighbors that are people that were entitled to notice, which is the reason why you're here, your comments could be very influential to whether we agree to or deny the petitioner's request. So, sir, if we may have your name and spell it for the record, and please tell us where you live in relation to the petitioner.
Absolutely. John Garbus, John.
Okay,
Garbis. I am
Garbus.
immediately to the north
Okay.
of the property.
okay,
Having listened to this today and looked at the previous plans of what the owner was planning on doing, having lived there for the last 22 years now on that property, really an awesome neighbor before, elderly gentleman, hadn't really done much to the place. I think this is gonna be a wonderful plan on what they're trying to do. It's going to, I think, stay in line with the character of the neighborhood. You're not gonna get a new tear down, which that lot would certainly probably hold.
yeah,
And
okay,
something that sticks out. It's it'll kind of flow nicely with everything that they're planned. It'll flow into the existing property as it is. And I think they're, also that, as I'm aging as well, and many of us are seeing the changes in the neighborhood, it's nice to welcome a young family back into the neighborhood, just like several others that we've had over the years. I think that keeps the community strong, keeps the schools going in the right direction, and all that, so.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Very,
you.
very eloquently said. Thanks, Mr. Garbus.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anybody else? That was a pretty tough act to follow, but, anybody else that would like to, because again, you folks are directly affected by their request. So, that you're good with it, you're bad with it, any changes you'd like, because this is the time to speak. So, then the floor is certainly yours. Sir, may we have your name, spell it so we could have it for the record, and where are you located in relation to the petitioner?
Sure. My name is Dave Gilbert,
Okay,
Dave, Gilbert.
okay,
I'm directly to the south of the property,
okay,
so I'm on that side where the properties get really close.
right,
Fortunately, I don't really have a strong opinion either way. The houses are already close, together. That side of the yard on our side, like, there's never been much use of that yard. Nothing grows there. There's just on our side, it's on the north side. There's a shade. The kids go there once in a while. But the idea that someone would want to build a fence there, I'm not sure about that, right? Because like you said, the property is already very close. Even with the chimney, that wouldn't have been feasible. So I can't imagine personally wanting to do this. Now, maybe, like, someone said, possibly the next owner might want to do that. We're not looking to move anytime soon. So in that regards, there's no issue. I can't speak, I don't really, I don't really have any comments beyond that.
So, Dave, how long have you lived there?
We've moved in 2010, so 11 years.
Okay.
We moved with our 1-year-old, and now he's 11, turning on 12.
awesome.
We enjoy the yard. It's a wonderful neighborhood. I would, as John hinted, we had a wonderful neighbor before, but we are looking to welcome a younger family.
Mm-hmm,
So that definitely would be looking forward to.
okay.
So
But generally speaking, you have no objection to their request?
no objection.
Because you're the one that would be kind of more impacted by this than Mr. Garbus would be, I would think,
Yeah,
so.
I generally don't like or reticent to change,
Mhm.
right? But as it was highlighted before, the house is in sad shape.
Okay,
The existing house is in sad shape. Something needs to happen with it. And as John hinted, you know, if this beautiful plan doesn't happen, some other plan is gonna happen.
Mhm.
And it's going to not necessarily fit any better or any harmonial in the
Mhm.
neighborhood.
mhm.
So in that sense, you know, I have no objection.
Okay.
Thank you for
Great.
listening.
Thank you for your opinion. It's greatly appreciated.
It's very helpful.
Okay.
So for any of my fellow board members, specifically now, in terms of me contemplating the motion I'm going to make, does anybody want to share any thoughts they have about the sunroom in the rear, the east side? That's the one that was 4 feet, but now it's going to be demolished and move up to be in line with 2.6 feet roughly.
You know,
I mean, I don't see a problem with what they want to do.
Okay.
actually, yeah, VJ, you have something you'd like to say?
Yeah, there is reason why they need 4 feet. There's safety issue and other things. And, I noticed when these buildings are very close, there could be fire, other things can happen. We need to maintain that 4 feet setback.
Right, right. Right, so I think that kind of goes back also to the code that mentions that windows on the south elevation that are less than 3 feet from the property line would need to be removed because they violate section 302 of the 2012 IRC. So that's something that's a non-negotiable situation, unfortunately, because that's fire code standard. Yeah.
So Kendall, would
Mr.
you like to step
yeah,
up? I think
yeah,
you-
Mr. Meyer,
you
please.
raised your hand.
Yeah.
Do we share my?
Nah, we
You're
heard
already
you. Yeah,
sworn in.
you've already been sworn in.
So you're
You-
still
you
under
spelled-
oath.
Yeah, you're still under oath. You spelled your name for a record, so you're ready to roll.
Fair. I just want to share a little bit how this came about and then why we went certain ways on top of what Omar shared. And I also have 2 concessions as well that we thought of. You know, I fell in love with this house. We live in the neighborhood. We live on Trip right now, around the corner. We love the neighborhood, the schooling. I also grew up in what we called Skevinston.
That's
which was
Evanston, yeah.
Skokie property, but we went to Evanston schools, you know. So me and my wife have lived here our whole lives. And my dad was a builder in the area, and I couldn't have done anything else with my life, so that's what I am now. And my business resides in Skokie as well. It's called Meyer Guild, and I built a team of craftsmen, and this is what we do. When I saw this house, I got to know one of the owner's relatives, and then they had an estate sale, and I got to get a little closer with the family. And before they put it on the market, we got talking. And I shared that our family's expanding and we're growing, and we sat down and made a deal for the property. And I had a vision from day one with this, and Omar came in and saw a very similar one. Now, the original foundation on the sunroom will have to be ripped out no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the rationale came. If we could build on top of that original footprint, I would, because concrete is very expensive right now, and also excavation. Now, what was trying to keep that to a minimum is why we're trying to build on the original structure. Now, we originally had 3 windows facing south, and I told Omar let's shrink it to 1 just because that one window has a nice visual of Dave's trees, and the other 2 would have shown right into their kitchen and deck space, so just to give some privacy. We would be willing to give that window up, and then the second window that's facing south is the bathroom window, and it's always something that's going to be opaqued for a privacy issue anyway, so we'd be willing to give that one up as well and possibly put another one up higher. So I agree with that as a safety concern. It isn't going to be an all brick structure. This is a true masonry house, meaning it's cinder block and brick, where my house, it was built in a little bit later and it was brick veneer. So I love the bones of the house, and I wanna preserve that, so fire issues, I feel like we're using a product that, you know, brick, something that if my house is on fire, would not jump to Dave's. So you're conscious of that, cause it'd be easier for me and more cost-effective to use siding. Now, Hardy has a fire rating as well, but not as well as brick. The second concession is we are modernizing the chimney to, instead of wood-burning fire, to a, how am I saying this?
Gas.
Basically insert gas. So, yes, is an extra cost, but we'd be willing to lose the chimney and have it built towards the interior, flue, which means that is the chunk that sticks an extra 1.5 feet closer.
Right.
And if that would help, we would be willing to do that as well. And-
Well, if the chimneys, I'm sorry to interrupt, if the chimney's an existing location, it's rebuilt in the existing location, that's,
Okay,
staff understands that.
Okay.
That's, we're not talking, it's more the additions, if the chimney's clearly in that location, if they've rebuilt part of it, a portion of it in the same footprint, there's no issues with that, being that that's existing and it's necessary for the building, just to throw that out
I
there.
appreciate that, Brian. Right here, the existing house right here, if you draw a line across here, I don't know how to do that with this, but, this is part of like the second floor primary suite for the bathroom. To jog that in, it would be really challenging. Another concession we'd be willing to make is, once we hit the point of the original house at this corner, we'd be willing to jog back to the original setback. I wish there was a picture of Dave's house here where it ends, but that aligns better with how his house ends as well, before his deck starts. And I just wanted to add that piece on. We did consider, I mean, there is a budget in mind that I consider tight, but a lot of the work I'm doing myself as a carpenter. And so it does make it more challenging as soon as you are jogging the property.
Yeah.
But I understand your guys' view as well, so.
So Kendall, this is very, very helpful. I just have a few questions about this. So, first, I think, as Brian said, you know, if you decide you want to make the chimney gas and set it in, that's fine, but that's, wouldn't be a requirement in any motion.
Okay.
At least that's not the motion that I'm going to make. And on the windows part, so for the bathroom, and maybe Brian, you can comment on this, but if somebody just has like opaque glass, like glass block,
It's no openings.
it's not an opening,
Yeah.
so it doesn't violate that rule.
No, it's no openings.
So is that considered
It's
an opening?
no openings on the, you cannot have an opening, it has to be the wall.
So it
So
can't
glass
be,
block isn't even, yeah, glass
so
block
glass
can't be
block is
considered.
considered still an opening?
Is there any, is it just glass block, or is there part of, portion of the window that actually opens?
Oh, like a louver or something like
Right,
that?
right, so
That
what-
would
Kendall, what
exhaust
would-
steam or event steam or something.
So,
And again, it.
And again, we don't have
It's-
jurisdiction over that, but
Yeah,
I
right.
want
I
to,
default to our head plan reviewer, but I'm assuming it's gonna be a no on that, but I would still default to, again, for the bathroom, you don't need natural light anyway. You can get the ventilation, so.
Yep.
But I default to, you know, if our head plan reviewer who reviewed this and said, here's the section, we're not looking at any openings, it's all wall.
right.
It's
so
gotta be
what-
wall.
what's- Right, so it's, okay, so
It's
it might have
non-negotiable.
to be wall.
which I agree with. I mean, and also, like, if you look at the swing of these two doors, both of those doors open into that window. It's the one window in the bathroom I'd be willing to get rid of, because there's a glass door going out onto the balcony. There's also another window here by the shower. Now, this is the point where, like, if you draw this straight line, like, I would be willing to jog the balcony to the original setback and move the door over, so that it does create the rectangle, which is the efficiency of building.
So, let me, because just to make sure I understand it, so to have any window on the new sunroom that's facing south, it would have to be 3 feet,
Yes.
okay.
So we're
So-
not talking much of a distance here because it's depending
less
on,
than 6 inches.
right, depending on where it exactly lies, correct? We're not talking a foot and a half or 2 feet. We're
So
talking,
would this be a hardship to move it to 3 feet instead of the 4 feet?
The hardship, it would not be a hardship for this.
Just the sunroom
This
we're talking
porch
about.
and sunroom, but for the whole sunroom, it would, just because of the fact that I would have to add additional steel here to hold up the brick
Okay,
on the interior side of the house, where, you know, if I would build the brick on the foundation to the ground.
so this would be inset for the windows, you're saying?
Correct, so.
Okay,
So this is just joins up with the regular of the house. Now, that's where, you know, this point I would end, and then we could jog in here, you know, with the balcony and sunroom, which it would make the sunroom on the interior a little lopsided and a little weird, but like, again, we'd be willing for that. And then what that would do as well is this window that's in the corner would jog, see how it's past this corner? It would jog in, and we could have that additional window then with the proper setback.
right, which 3 feet is enough for the code purpose.
Yep.
You know, and I think
Yeah,
it
correct.
sounds like, yeah, the consensus here probably is if it was
do you know,
with
do you know
the
how many?
code, it wouldn't have to be 4 feet. Jogging enough in to be 3 feet, at least
Yep.
for the motion I'm going to make, would be okay.
Do you know how many feet approximately would stay at the 2 point, however many feet setback, and then how many feet approximately could potentially then jog in for what you're proposing?
I'll tell you.
Because it might have to be part of the motion or condition.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, right.
X amount of feet at a 2 point
I-
whatever, and
At-
then
At
so
that
many feet.
corner, at this corner, let me show you the first floor plan. At this corner, the house would be at 2.53 from the property line. So we're talking 0.47 feet jog, sorry,
Yeah, so like.
6
yeah.
inches roughly.
Yeah,
A 6 inch
6
jog
inches.
to the north, so that we could, by the building code, have a window facing south. That's what it would amount to.
And that would make me feel better.
Yep.
The
The whole thing jogging that?
No, 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 the
Just
window.
Just from
the
here,
corner.
yeah. 'Cause
Yeah,
I could
and
thicken-
that's what I was asking, is how
Yeah.
many feet, do you know how many feet about that would be from where the window is?
From here to there, it's about 6 feet
I'll
is
tell you
the
where it is.
bathroom width, so it's 6 feet.
It's dimensioned by the window well. I'll show you.
Oh, right there, that dimension, okay.
It's just hard to.
I
read.
can't, I can't see it.
You could zoom in.
It's 5 foot, exactly.
5 foot.
So it's a 5 foot exact.
And what I could do is thicken this whole interior wall, so in the inside, it's still in plane, so the.
Oh, I see what you're
You
saying.
know what I mean? So then the inside of the room still keeps the aesthetic, even though the outside jogs.
Yeah.
And we keep the one window in the sunroom, but we lose the window in the bathroom.
Right, which I'm not going to include anything in the motion except to say for the bathroom that it has to comply with all other codes and ordinances of the Village of Skokie. I will add to the motion that the window in the sunroom, you know, will be inset no less than 3 feet from the
Right.
property line,
Yeah, per law.
per law.
Right.
Right.
So are you talking about for a potential motion for the rear sunroom, X amount of feet at 2.53, and then X amount of feet at 3 feet? I just want to make sure it's clear to what,
Yeah, so this might be, that's a good point, Brian. This is going to be a little bit complicated. So we have 998 feet, is that what it was?
19.998 for the front yard.
For the front. Now, what about the covered porch? How much is that setback?
The covered porch is 2.87 at its worst condition.
Porch,
The house is a little bit angled, so at its worst
Yeah,
condition.
I noticed that, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I
it's
didn't,
tricky.
I couldn't see it, but I
It's very
mean, I
tricky.
noticed from the drawing,
Yeah.
it was like, you know, okay, so the covered porch is 2.87.
Yeah, and we always go with the closest point, so if
Right.
part of it's 2.9, 3.1, we still would go with the
So
closest
that,
point.
were you planning to have a window on that covered porch?
No, it's open.
It's just an open front porch.
So it's just open, okay,
It's-
so
it's
the
one of my
covered
wife's
porch,
dreams.
2.87 minimum, that's gonna be a variation. Now, what about,
So this is that point. So there's the corner of the house, 2.87.
yeah,
At the back of the living room, it would be 2.59.
Okay.
Actually, at the second story, yeah.
And then for the sunroom, the way we propose it would be 2.53, but that's the one we're talking about moving up to 3 feet, so that we can have that window.
And then the front porch, I mean, I would like it squared, but again, if we have to get it to the 3 feet, you know, it's.
No,
Okay.
I did that sound, because it's gonna be open, so we don't need it. And my initial impression when I looked is like, because that's, you know, when you look at it, it's more visual, so I was pretty much okay with that.
Okay.
Lining up, you know, with the rest of the building. It was just the piece in back, and you basically talked me into it. So,
I stood up.
it helps to bring the kids. So, okay, so the window in the sunroom is going to be recessed no less than 3 feet.
Well, the wall or the window?
I-
The wall.
Both,
Okay, so I just want to make sure this is clear when the motion's made and this gets typed
do
up
I.
and we have to reread this and make sure.
Marlene and I are typing this up.
Yeah,
Marlene needs all the help that you can get.
So.
yeah, you can
I just
skip all
wanna-
this till we're done, Marlene.
So the front yard, 19.998 feet.
Yep,
The covered porch,
2.87 minimum.
second floor at 2.59 minimum. For, and again, then, well, it would be the first and second floor would both come into 3 feet. So that's how we have to word that.
Well,
So, again, east to west, how many feet would be 3 feet about? East to west, how many feet would be 3 feet of first and second floor? That's, I think, what we have to get.
The 3 foot where the window is?
Yes.
5 feet.
5 feet.
So 5 feet, so 5 feet minimum of the first and second floor addition would be set back at 3 feet.
Correct. It's actually, at that
so
point, it's
wait,
only a
now
one-story addition.
I'm not clear about
At
this
that
now, so
point, it's only-
explain to me
Oh,
what we're
but
doing here.
is the porch,
Explain me what I'm doing.
okay, and
It's a
that's,
one-story addition.
okay, and that's gonna fall, okay.
Okay. So 5 feet minimum of the first floor will be at 3 feet.
But the first floor is, oh, so the first floor is gonna be all redone too?
Correct.
Okay. So,
So the first 5 feet would be at 3 feet.
Yeah.
Then the other part of the first floor would match the existing. And at that 5 foot, that would be at 3 foot away from the lot line, it will be a one-story addition, because there's a balcony above. If you look at.
right, so let me make sure I have this right. So the 19.98, never a problem. The covered porch 2.87, never a problem. The second story is going to be a minimum of 2.59 feet. And now, the caveat there is that you're putting windows on the second floor.
Well, if it's under 3
We're
feet, they
taking them out.
can't.
Yeah,
We're
they're-
taking those out.
Right, so that
And it's-
there's
and
gonna be
it's-
no windows.
Yeah, and it's one window for a bathroom, which
Yeah.
is really,
Which is-
they'll
yes,
work with the
it's-
appearance
it's
commission on the
This
rest of it.
one window,
Correct.
So on the first floor, do we have any issue with it? Do we have to recess it or no?
There's no windows.
we're recessing the wall and the window, so the window setback to the brick will be the same as the rest of the house, but the actual, right,
Here's
right where
the
that downspout is, and we can use that to kind of hide that jog.
Correct.
So, but Brian, you're in the back now. You're on the east side.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about.
Okay, I was talking about the main part. There's one window, it's not gonna be a window.
That's way in the garage. Oh, that, they mean the way in the, that's way in the north.
Yeah, that's on
Yeah,
the other,
that's-
That's where the existing attached garage is right
Right.
now, that's getting.
Right, that's pushed back, but on the second floor, there's a window that's going.
That's the bathroom.
That's a
gonna
bit,
go away.
yeah, that's a bathroom window. that's going.
completely, no
Okay.
glass block.
And then there's a window on the addition, that's the one we're gonna keep.
This is
Correct.
gonna push back to 3
Right.
feet
Right.
for this last 5 feet so they can keep the window.
Correct.
Okay. I'm gonna take a stab at this then. Does anybody have any other comments?
You are.
Yeah, just a couple questions. So then after, so,
Yeah, Commissioner Worth.
thank you. This would go to then appearance, and they would have to look at this after we
The-
would present?
The appearance commission is not gonna be dealing with setbacks. They're gonna say, the zoning board of appeals approved these setbacks, and the appearance commission is gonna say, let's look at the elevations of the building and where you have window placement, what the materials are, roofing, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay,
So it
great.
has to go to Appearance Commission.
Thank you. And then, so on the 2.59 second floor, that's extending the current non-compliant encroaching line. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yep.
Okay. And then the expansion of the non-conforming setback is what we're talking about with the sunroom,
Yeah.
going between 2.53 and then 3 feet for the windows to be compliant with fire code?
Correct. The first floor addition would be, a portion would be 2.53 feet. Then the easternmost 5 feet would be 3 feet.
Okay. And then finally, the porch would be new encroachment at call it 2.87 or 2.9?
Correct.
2.87, yeah.
So
Yeah.
and we're good with the porch then? We didn't have as much
I
talk
was-
about that.
I was good with the porch. When I looked at it, I could kind of visualize it, and to me, in the front, it was maybe more important to keep in line with the existing building than it was in the back, but I'm not an expert in this at all, but that was just my feeling on it. But you tell us how you feel.
Well, yeah, no, thank you. And so you said you'd be utilizing the existing foundation on the porch, or is that, can you talk a little bit about why we want to do the porch at 2.9?
We'll be
Yeah.
building around the existing foundation, and because of the 3-foot setback, we'll actually have to demolish part of it. You see the dash lines inside? That's the existing foundation that's really falling apart.
I'm sorry, you're talking about the front porch?
Front porch.
Front porch, correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah,
There's nothing there.
There's-
nothing.
yeah,
This is
that's
all
all new.
foundation.
Right, so,
There's-
so we're doing new non-conforming front porch at 2.9. What's the,
2.89.
2.89, yes.
Correct.
Is that, and is that something that needs to, I guess, why are we doing non-conforming for the porch?
Well, it's, in my mind, it's really an architecture thing. If you can imagine this ending 6 inches short of that corner, I mean, it doesn't really make any sense. To me, it's just better architecture to follow the lines that the homeowner draws.
So,
That's another one where like I love it, but it's, if it means to get the approval, like I would be willing to jog it in the 6 inches.
I mean, from an,
Because the chimney jogs out to there, like it muddies that line a little bit where it's not worth me losing it.
It's actually more than that, it would be 1.13 feet.
be with the rest of the house,
but since it's
new construction, they'd have to
Okay.
yeah.
so from an impact perspective, it
It's
is,
an aesthetic thing.
Yeah, I
from an
think it looks
impact,
better
it's
with
also an open structure. It's,
Or move.
that's,
With the line up with the building line,
it's,
it should be okay.
yeah, from an impact perspective, this is not a full room addition, it's open. There could be a
Right.
condition placed on there also that says this must stay
Yeah.
open. So now we're not dealing in the future with somebody enclosing it in 10 years.
That's a good point.
And
Brian.
enclosing it, wanting
Yeah,
to put
yeah.
windows or, build new walls.
Yeah.
Or knock it down and build a second floor addition above it, that it must be a one-story, open covered porch,
No,
open on
that's-
3 sides.
That's actually a really good idea, because that
thank
was
you.
part of the reason I was like, I'm okay with